Well, I done fucked up. Hey folks, my name is Jen. Welcome to a continuation of my ultimate shame. I have, over the past month, acquired more books. You might be asking yourself, dear God, Jen, why the fuck would you buy more books when you have put yourself in a book buying ban? Well, my friends, because, you know, shit happens. So, let's take a short dive into my shame, and I will share with you the books that I have acquired, again. So the first of these I actually got specifically with a purpose in mind, and that was for Feb Regency for this month. I wanted to read a new play. I do have a Regency era play, which is The Rivals by Sheridan that I read last year, but I wanted to read a different play this time, so I got another one of his called The Camp. And this is like a Regency era play, but it is set technically during the Revolution, but dealing with like in English, like in soldier encampment. So yeah, it's a musical. So far I have not been able to find any performances online that I could watch so I could get a better idea as to what's happening with the musical element of this. But yeah, I got this one for Feb Regency, and it was interesting. I'll have thoughts in my February wrap-up. Then the next two books that I got, I think I've previously mentioned before, but it was because I read Westmark by Lloyd Alexander, and it was the first book in a trilogy, and I loved it so much that as soon as I finished reading it, I had to get the other two books in the series, so that's what I have here. The first book follows Theo, who is a printer's apprentice, and the army comes to break the printing press. Theo's master, the printer, is killed, and Theo ends up going on the run and teaming up with a couple of con men, just kind of trying to stay one step ahead of the army. And as they're going around, they end up getting pulled into trying to save the country because the evil minister, Cabarrus, is trying to basically take over the kingdom and taking advantage of the grieving king. So that was book one. I got The Kestrel and The Beggar Queen, and those are books 2 and 3 in the trilogy, following the events of the first book, Westmark. I don't want to go into what these are about. You can tell there's like a battle happening in the second book. I'm very excited for that. And yeah, I can't wait to dig into these books very soon because the first one was good. Then I ended up recently going down to like Connecticut to Mystic Seaport with a couple of friends, and there is, besides the like seaport and the aquarium, which the aquarium was a lot of fun, but we also spent a lot of time in the Old Mystic Village, which is like this old, as it says, Old Mystic Village, and there's a lot of shops. Basically, it's just a whole like shopping area, lots of cool stuff. Metaphysical shops, chocolate, popcorn. There's this really cool place called the Cloak and Wand, which it has like this Harry Potter feel to it, and they make specialty cocoa and soda. Let me tell you, the soda was fantastic. I tried one that is green apple, strawberry, and blue raspberry, and it blew my mind. I didn't get anything bookish there. I got a pop of Merlin and Archimedes because I am a child. So anyway, they have like a whole bunch of different shops and things like that, and it was really cool. I ended up buying some books because I was in Vacation Gen mode, and Vacation Gen gives no shits about any rules or anything. Vacation Gen just is wild and free, and Vacation Gen is responsible for this, so I blame that bitch. One of the first shops that we went into was this Scandinavian shop called Bestmore's Imports, and I loved it. First of all, I got one of these. I was so excited. This is not one that's actually made in, like, Scandinavia, because those, like, they're like this big and it costs $34, and yo, not gonna happen. So this is made by Craftsman here, I guess, but yeah, I couldn't pass this up because I've always wanted one of these horses. When I was a kid, this was one of my favorite Christmas books. So, like, I mean, my inner child was pleased. Anyway, on to the book shame that I had. I got a book at that shop, and it's actually one that I've seen on BookTube for a little bit. It's like certain people have had it. Their names are not coming to my head right now, but they also do like lifestyle stuff and things like that. But yeah, so I saw this book there and was like, you know what? Let's get it. It is The Little Book of Hygge, and it is Danish Secrets to Happy Living. This is by Mike Viking? What? I'm not 100% sure. Viking? Because I know in like Germanic languages, its W's are kind of V's. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. Anyway, this is The Little Book of Hygge, and this is, yeah, it's about happy living, and it's just a guide basically to self-caring the shit out of yourself. There's a lot of information in here about, like, you know, different things to make your house feel cozier. Socializing for introverts. They have Hygge recipes, clothing, different things like that, activities and stuff like that. And I'm honestly not really a self-help kind of girl. It's just not something that I vibe with a lot of the time. But this seemed like something that I could get into a little bit more. Because frankly, I don't know about you guys, but I have been kind of struggling a little bit for the past few months, like, finding joy in things. So, yeah, any little bit helps, is my thought on this. One of the other shops we went to is called Dharma Jewel. And this is a Tibetan, like, gift shop. I got the most gorgeous skirt from there, and it's just a really cool shop. They have a lot of very interesting things. They have, like, pictures of the Dalai Lama, like, everywhere. It's like such a cool shop. The owners are so sweet, and this book I got is not for me. This was technically for my husband, but I might end up reading it too. This is called How to Fight, and this is by Thich Nhat Hanh. I probably butchered that, I'm so sorry. But he was like this, like, spiritual teacher. I'm pretty sure I've listened to a couple of his meditations before, because I've been trying to get more into meditation and, like, quieting my mind. And yeah, I saw this there, and it is, like, trying to focus, it says, on the ways we act out in anger, frustration, and despair. In brief meditations, he offers insights on how to turn our disagreements and conflicts into opportunities for growth and compassion. And, like, I thought that this was, you know, a pretty good book overall, you know, for him, for me too, actually. Not that we have, like, conflict with each other. We're pretty much figured our shit out. It's like dealing with others is another thing entirely, though. So yeah, I ended up grabbing this book. It's a little thing, but I figured it'll be an interesting read. And then one of the other shops we went into was Alice's haunted little bookshop. It's kind of attached to like the Alice's Tea Shop. That there's a couple of different locations. I've been to the one that used to be in Foxborough before. But yeah, we didn't go into the tea shop because we didn't like want to do like the tea shop or anything, but the haunted little bookshop is like right next door. And it's super cool. I posted pictures on Instagram about it. I'll like flash them up so you can see. But it's such a cool vibe in there too. And while I was in there, I got a couple of things. One was The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I have been actually listening to an audiobook of this while at work, but I ended up pausing in it just because I was having a little bit of a hard time with the audiobook of it. Sometimes, depending on the contents of an audiobook, it's just a little bit harder. Like if it's something like Journey to the Center of the Earth, for example. There's so many scientific things going on in it that I can't listen to stuff like that, and this has so many like theatrical terms or like stuff in French that I can't listen to it because I have a problem where if it's like words I've never heard before, I can't picture it in my mind, and then that distracts me a lot. I don't know what that is. It's just a weird thing that I have when I listen to audiobooks. So I had been thinking in the back of my head that I wanted to get a physical copy of the book and try to read it better that way, just because, you know, it'll be a little bit easier on me and I can like take in the information better. And yeah, so they had this really pretty looking copy for like not that much money, so I was like, you know what, we're gonna get this. And yeah, that's basically what they had. They had a whole section of Poe. They had a whole bunch of classics. I was also tempted by From the Earth to the Moon by Jules Verne, but then I didn't end up getting that one. But yeah, they had a whole Stephen King section, a whole bunch of horror. They had like horror comics. They had just really cool stuff. And also there, they had this, which is the Hard-Boiled Apple case file on suspense writing in and about New York City. And it has like an illustrated map and a notepad, and basically what it looks like is it's almost kind of like almost like a little game, kind of, where you basically can go through this map of New York City and try to find specific locations mentioned in like hard-boiled like detective novels, and it just seemed like really fascinating. So I'm gonna look more at this, but I think that this is the kind of activity that might be fun when I go away with like my husband and friends. We like our gaming weekend, and I think this would be a fun thing to bring along. So I think there's a couple of us that we're like in the writing workshop. I think we might possibly be into this. I don't know. And then we made the mistake of going to a bookshop. This was not in the Village section. This was like downtown Mystic. We looked in some of the shops down there too. And we went to, oh here, they gave me a bookmark. It is Bank Square Books. Very nice. The clerk was super cool. And yeah, it was a pretty cool bookshop. And yeah, so I went in there and was like, you know what? This is a bad decision, but I got a couple of books. The first thing that I grabbed was Maus Volume 2, A Survivor's Tale, and Here My Troubles Began by Art Spiegelman. So a few months ago you saw I got probably Volume 1, and so I've been thinking in the back of my head that I really want to like set time aside to like read that. But then I was thinking, but should I only read Volume 1? Should I also have Volume 2? And I was like, maybe I should put it off until I can allow myself to buy it. And then I was like, I saw this at the bookstore and was like, you know what? We'll get this. So when I can work myself up to read something important but very depressing, I can now read it to completion. So yeah, I got volume 2, and then in the sci-fi section, the last book that I ended up grabbing was All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is the first book, I believe, in the Murderbot Diaries. So this is about, basically it's in like the future, and there's like these planetary corporations and stuff like this, and at one point their like company, like corporate company, droid gains sentience, and yeah, it says it's a self-aware sec unit that has hacked its own governor module and refers to itself, though never out loud, as Murderbot. It's scornful of humans. All it really wants to be is left alone long enough to figure out who it is. And it sounds weird, but I've also heard that it's funny and it's kind of wholesome. And as someone who doesn't read a lot of sci-fi just because it's just not really something that I ultimately enjoy that much, this sounds like it's different. And I like it when it's a genre that I'm not super into and it does something a little bit different. Because oftentimes when it's that something a little bit different, that's when I end up enjoying it. So I've had a couple of work friends talk to me about this series and tell me, dude, you gotta read this because it's great. And I also, I believe, recently heard MJ over at Reading This Life mention this book before and like talk about how, like, what a good novel it is. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna give this a try. So yeah, I picked this up and I think this is going to be a pretty fun read. I'm just excited to be reading something sci-fi that is not, you know, for children or a Hitchhiker's Guide, you know? So that's cool. Yeah, that was that was my shame, guys. I honestly seriously have a problem now because I don't have any room. This was ill-advised. Yeah, I'm seriously on a book buying ban for reals now. Like, I'm legitimately not allowed, and because I have no self-control, I'm not gonna make it till like next year. I know it, so I think I'm just gonna put the goal as to I'm not allowed to buy any new books until like September. I think that's what I'm gonna make the goal as, that I just have to make it until September, because hopefully by that time I'll have read some books that I borrow from people. I can give them their books back. I have read a bunch of books and I don't know, maybe they didn't turn out to be so good and I can do another unhaul, or, you know, I'll just figure out better places to put them. I don't know. At this point, I don't think I have any room on any of my shelves. So when I read books now off of my unread TBR shelf, I think I'm gonna have to like just put them back on the shelf, but I'll turn them around so their pages face outward so I know. Oh, I read that one already. Anyway, yep, thanks for joining me in my shame yet again. If any of these sound fascinating to you, let me know. If you've read any of these, bleh. Whoa, I need coffee. If you have read any of these, also let me know. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for always watching. If you're new here and would like to subscribe, please do so. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.